Please tell us about Nerdcognito.
Oh, tell you about Nerdcognito. Well, when I'm not dodging bullets from the things that fly out of my mouth, Nerdcognito was originally a different podcast with a different name. And it was me and my best friend, Mikey, and a third party. And we ran for almost 100 episodes. In fact, I think we ran at 100 episodes before we paused and stopped. But there was a big philosophical disconnect. This other guy really saw it as like a get rich quick. Oh, we're going to make our retirement by being influencers. God, I hate that word. And Mikey and I saw it as an opportunity for us to get together once a week, talk about the shit that we always talk about, right? It's not exclusively a gaming podcast. It's more of I like to think of it as a nerd culture podcast, right? Yes, we talk about games. Yes, we talk about tabletop and board games and video games, but we also talk about pop culture and nerd culture and technology and whatever comes. It's really just like us inviting you into our weekly chat. What you see is what you get. You get me, and you got, at that time, Mikey. Now Mikey's just a mythical legend. Mikey has moved across the country. His schedule made it very difficult for him to maintain the podcast. But I brought in my other very good friend, Bert. And Bert stepped in. And Bert's kind of like the straight man for me, which works out well. And recently we added Kyle, Dying Breed Tabletop, as a co-host. So our growth has been really good. We do specifically market and produce the podcast as an audio-only podcast. And a lot of times people ask, why aren't you going the YouTube route? And the main reason for not going the YouTube route, well, there's two, right? One, YouTube is super saturated. I am happy to have my YouTube exposure through my friends and through other channels and through guest spots on different places. Number two, a lot of the content creators in our space are our friends. I'm not looking to compete with my friends. I'm looking to supplement my friends. And I think my friends can supplement me likewise. So the avenue of being audio only really gives us a unique niche, right? You can listen to us in the car. You can listen to us at the gym, bro. You can do all sorts of different applications where you're not tethered to a screen, where you just have to hear, and you still cerebrally participate. I originally, when I was, sitting down in the counselor's office, what are you going to be when you grow up? One of the very strong possibilities was radio broadcast. And I did some early work in that industry, and I loved it, but I realized I didn't want to be a jock bouncing from town to town every 2 years. So this also lets me fulfill my little fantasy in having this audio-only spectacular. It has grown to the point where I'm very comfortable with it. I think that we are not always seen as a reasonable voice by some, but we're seen as a voice and an opinion, and that's okay. There should be multiple opinions, and I'm happy to be an opinion in the OSR philosophy-minded spot. But I want to make it clear, we're not an OSR podcast. True, I skew that way. Bert will play anything. Kyle is very much OSR, but we are OSR vibes in our podcast. Nerdcognito is an interesting animal. I could go on and on and on and on about it, but the salient point for it is it was born out of having a chat once a week with a friend, and it forced us to actually have time to maintain and foster our relationship, and it just happened to grow into one of the leading productions now in our corner of the hobby, and I couldn't be prouder or happier that it is what it is.